just like that, I managed to realise that my laptops were the wrong way around, and I didn't have my mic connected. So Lee got the pleasure of seeing me flapping a little bit and finding all this stuff. And as the countdown went, I just literally put the microphone in the USB port. So yeah, that's how
no one noticed, mate. It's all good.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So obviously, I'm trying to think back when we were last here. We were here last. I don't know. We were here last week at some stage.
It doesn't matter when we're here. We are here now. We are live, pal. Let's get the intros. Welcome to Wrestle Dawgs, everybody. My name is Gooner Lee Meads, Lee Meadows, joined by Sam Wilson, obviously. How are you, Sam? That's how you do it.
It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird with my face a little bit bigger as I'm now staring directly at it.
Absolutely, but I mean, it'll draw the viewers, clearly.
It will. So just to show you why this is the case, when I try and get our normal background up, this is what happens. It's quite matching to his return to the Royal Rumble, but that's not how we like to do things here. So we're back here.
It's doing it.
So
what more can anyone want?
It will. It's just that. Oh no, that's even worse. No, that's back to where we were before. Going to see if any looks better. To be honest, no.
We were fine where we were. No. There
we are. We're back to where we were.
That's it. Perfect, seamless. What a start.
It was. I just thought I may as well show everyone that we sometimes don't have a clue what we're doing and we're just going along with it.
From a fellow YouTuber to another, I've been there, mate. Don't worry about it. We are live, pal.
We are.
I'll do my best, Sid Vicious. I'll try not to break my leg during the stream. Let's go.
We've had that quite recently as well. So I'm going to start off. We've still got fancy banners. The fancy banners look different now.
They do, don't they?
Now
they look raw. They look uncut. They look uncooked.
They're normally tiny in their own box, and you can't really see them. But now you can't really see anything else. So Raw this week was, it was. It was a lot. It was emotional at points.
Yeah.
It was weird at points. It was pretty much everything all in one. So, which is good because normally I'm coming on here and saying, "Oh, well, it's the same as it is all the time."
I think Raw was incredible this week, mate. Yeah, that's what I think.
It was, which makes a change, which I was really pleased about. Both Raw and SmackDown had very good elements this week.
Yes.
So CM Punk started the show. This is the next big story arc that they've started. I think it's a cool one. It brings back Paul Heyman, which I'm always up for seeing. Whatever he's doing, even if he stands there and says nothing, I still like for him to be on the screen. Yeah. So he lays out what's next for him. Points to it. It has a weird effect because he points to the WrestleMania sign, but it's not there. So you kind of have to use your own imagery. He says, "I know it's there. I know you can't see it, but I know it's there."
How many times can I do "you can't see me" in one stream?
Probably leave it a little bit because we're 5 minutes in, so sparingly. But he is coming back, so the floodgates can open.
Absolutely.
Seth then interrupts in the most bizarre suit I've ever seen, and this was a little mental note myself. I'll put it in brackets to try and get a picture of it, but I haven't. It was shiny brown, not a leather suit, but like lycra looking suit. that also wore matching trousers as well. But then as he got into the ring, what looked like a suit might not have been a suit. But yeah, I'd never seen anything like it.
I think been up Chelmsford High Street, have you, mate?
I think even if he pulled up to Milan Fashion Week, they'd even say, "I'm not sure what that is." So I'm just gonna really quickly,
live admin, ladies and
gentlemen, because it is worth seeing actually.
Definitely worth seeing.
So
this will be a first time for me seeing as well, so I'm looking forward to this.
So it would have been. Today is the 9th.
All day.
It would have been the 2nd. 2nd of December.
While Sam is doing this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us live right now, make sure you are hitting the like button. It helps Wrestle Dogs out tremendously. Don't forget, we have the Patreon here. It's patreon.com/WrestleDogs. And of course, we have the merch down below us. So check that out when you have a moment. Thank you very much.
Amazing. I actually have found a picture with the suit jacket off, but you can still see the full effect of the trousers and what the suit would look like. So
I'm looking forward to this.
We'll just...
I know these things take a little bit of a moment. So we apologise, ladies and gentlemen. We will get normal service resumed as soon as we can.
Save image as. I'm going to get 2, just so it doesn't like one. I'm going to have the other because it didn't like my picture.
Where's Tyler Breeze when you need him? You call the fashion police, ladies and gentlemen.
To be honest, I think he would have been proud of this one. I must admit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Please let one of them work. Please let one of them work. Desktop.
Come on.
Oh, right. What? Right. Let's try one more. We'll try one more. I'm really determined.
Like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try and cover for you, Sam.
Download. Why does it not want? It is on there. It doesn't like JPEGs for some reason.
It won't put it on the overlay now.
No.
Sometimes the JPEGs, it wants you to convert it. Yeah, I've been there. I've done that.
Right. I'm going to try and get it on my phone and show it on here. Yeah. So I'll tell you what he said while I try and find 2nd of December. Well,
this better be worth it. There's a big build up here.
Oh no, it is. They go back and forth before they go into a brawl, which brings Jey Uso and Sami Zayn to the ring. Seth Rollins spoke to Sami and they went back and forth. Seth calls Sami stupid, which sets up a match between them later on. So yeah, the rest of the segment was pretty crap, but this suit was not right. So,
wow.
Shows me...
Well, I've got the image of here of Rollins and Punk.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can we? I mean, it does come with the warning of copyright. If I go to that and I don't think WhatsApp's going to work on this.
Oh! I found a really clear image of it on.
Go on, son.
And the wonderful thing that we call X now. Where's it gone now? Here it is.
Look at that.
So you can't really see.
That's the architect of the Shield, ladies and gentlemen. What the heck is that?
So it was like, so it's like a glossy finish to it, and then it almost looks kind of like spotty, but it's a glossy finish to the suit, matching trousers, obviously. And then this was the shirt that came underneath it. It's like a meshy sort of see-through top that looks almost like a Jeff Hardy attire. Just
it does, yeah.
So yeah, and you can see that the trousers are that bad. They've even been pixelated in this picture just so you can't see them properly.
Do you know what that's worse than? That's worse than Shawn Michaels in the Elimination Chamber. That is
really bad.
Yeah.
Devon said we've all been there before.
I mean, I've heard of brown trousers time, but I mean that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I've not really had that sort of attire before, unless you're alluding to something else.
No.
Brown chinos.
I mean, I've got nothing to worry about in my red hoodie here, have I? I mean, at least that looks normal.
Yeah, brown chinos is the closest, but that couldn't be any further from that.
No, it's not for me, that mate.
No.
Goodness gracious me!
Catch me next week in a suit like that. No, absolutely not. I'm not sure. I've also got the same budget that Seth Rollins has to dress myself. So,
no.
So yeah.
Goodness gracious me!
That goes into the war archives, I'm sure.
Never to be seen again. Hopefully.
There was then a match that I feel like we've seen. Again, I'm really trying to be positive, but it feels like a match we have seen over the last 4 or 5 weeks, just in different formats. Damage Control versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I don't really know where it's going or why they have to have so many matches, but yeah, Rodriguez and Morgan won this one. Then we have a first round triple threat match for the Women's Intercontinental title tournament, which is exciting.
Yeah.
But it comes with a but.
Oh, no.
The but is that I hoped that this belt that they would call a mid-card women's belt would be fought for by people that are also in the middle of the card between starting out and being in the main women's title picture. So I was excited to look at the bracket for the draw. But unfortunately, it's got many of the same names in that are in the main title picture. And as you look at how it's set up on either side, you can kind of map your way to the middle and the end, unfortunately. I hope they throw some curveballs completely. But as you look at it, and I spoke to a few people, they've kind of matched it up in similar ways to me. So yeah, I hope that I'm wrong. I suppose we'll see. So in this first match, we've got Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, and Katana Chance. So if you're making that a mid-card tournament belt, you wouldn't go with the first two. You would go with the last name.
Right.
We have
a new name up and coming, right?
Yeah. To create some excitement for the tournament, for people to see something new. But we haven't. We've got a Dakota Kai win, which, yeah,
you could predict.
It's going in the same direction that, unfortunately, I'm fearing towards. She didn't get... It never looked like she was going to win as well, which, again, is slightly disappointing. But yeah, I try and err on the... I try and stay positive, but I just can't sometimes. But the next part is very positive, although I don't know whether to call it positive or not, because it was also quite sad at the same time. So we had 10 years of the New Day. Everyone was wondering what might happen, whether they would split up, whether they would carry on, whether they would just speak about the best moments or the title wins and whatever. So out they come. Nothing too shocking about it so far. The crowd starts chanting Big E, obviously, to come back. which he answers the call. It's almost like he's been waiting for this moment.
It's almost like he was at Gorilla, wasn't it?
Yeah, almost. So he came out in an attempt to prevent them breaking up as a tag team.
Right.
So yeah, that was his aim. He then offered, while he can't wrestle, to be their manager to help get them back on the same page, to kind of build the bridges that they've burnt over the last couple of weeks. Although that wasn't the case. He was basically turned on by both of them. He spoke about the injury that he's had, and they said, well, wrestlers have come back with worse injuries and carried on. Obviously, this was part of the narrative. They're all still hugging behind closed doors, but kayfabe.
Which is not real.
So they lashed out. They said that he was putting them before the New Day. They went on a big show about how he doesn't care and whatever.
I think one of the quotes was "we before me." I think it was. So I think that's about right. That, we should probably say, I think we probably as fans expected to see one of Woods, probably Woods, go full on heel turn. What I don't think we expected to see is Kofi Kingston going as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, and the way they did it after that last New Day Rocks chant, and the words were spoken, and the way they delivered it as a heel turn, as someone who's an old school wrestling fan who loves a bit of storytelling, the way they performed this bit of live drama, which it was, I thought was exceptionally well done.
Yeah.
The way that they're just saying, like, you come back now after all that we've gone through. We've been fighting each other. We're coming to almost to the point where we are going to split and go our own ways. And now is the time you decide to come back. I thought it was so unexpected. If anyone had Kofi to turn on E, like as a prediction, you are lying, ladies and gentlemen.
100%.
Absolutely.
That's where I've got to give them props for doing something that just completely unexpected, and I think it's come at a good time for the New Day, because I know over the last couple of years I've said, well, what's next for them? They've won everything that they possibly can win. What's next? So I think this has changed it completely, and to the point that we could even see, right, who are we going to get in to the New Day now, just to rub it in? Like, there's even that element now as well.
Oh, that's something I hadn't thought of. You're thinking they're gonna add a third member?
Yeah,
right?
And so this is who we've
got.
So
should we go back into sort of go back in time? What's been discussed in some other news outlets? Because I believe there was plans to make a third member of the New Day prior to this. It might have been a chap that has been now released. You might have to help me out with a guy that Kofi was hanging out with. Maybe a couple of months ago.
I can't help you.
Okay.
Name redacted.
It was one of the recently released WWE guys. I'll see if I can find a name. But it was almost sort of hinted that he was going to be replacing Big E, wasn't it?
Okay.
Right. You know where I'm coming from? And then and then all of a sudden they're put in this scenario. This is the first time I think he has been on Raw for quite some time since the that bad neck injury. Obviously, he does his bit on the pre-shows and stuff, but I think the plan was perhaps maybe for the New Day to go in a new threesome, and that's way to take E out of the equation. What I would say is the fact that they ditched Big E like they did, and the way they did it would suggest to me, and I'm purely speculating, I don't know anything behind the scenes, but old school storytelling tells me that if the heels do something,
here we go.
Right, if you, let me just finish my sentence. I'll throw it back to you. So when you get a heel turning on a baby face like they do, that baby face will try and get some retribution, right? And that gives me a bit of hope on Big E, because would it be possible if he can come back in the ring? Can you imagine a scenario, say in the Royal Rumble match, just say, because it's coming up in February, right? Can you imagine that you know the two of the remaining New Day may be in trouble, and then all of a sudden he comes over and his music hits and he just finishes them off or something. Can you just imagine that the pop? Right, I'll throw it back to you, Sam, because you probably got the name that I was looking for.
Yeah, so as I put in new member of the New Day, I remember seeing on a Cultaholic video, because I was catching up on all the new videos. They had original plans for the New Day before they had to change it. So Odyssey Jones was released from
the fella
WWE after allegations were made against him. So they had to kind of change it up a little bit. As I've
I was never going to get that name. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, that's all good. As I also type that in, there's a question mark. Will New Day bring in a third member? Question mark. Former NXT champion responds to speculation he could replace Big E, and that was Wesley. I won't read that.
Oh wow,
loads of, but that kind of works in terms of both their styles in the ring. To have kind of two high flyers and then one more brutish type wrestler. It does make sense, and it's almost like a passing the torch moment. Like Big A is passionate to Xavier Woods and saying, "Yeah, you be the." But yeah, we're getting too much into it there. So he kind of refuses to accept their new attitudes, where they've got a little bit edgy, and so he left the ring in kind of disbelief. Xavier Woods then tells Kofi Kingston that it's just us now, and then I put a question mark, truly shock, a question mark, a full stop, using my correct grammar, and then put truly shocking at the end.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, that kind of set the wrestling world alight this week. It's going to be interesting. I thought about this as I was writing up my additional notes. It's going to be interesting because it's not going to set the wrestling world alight. It is as it comes over to Netflix, but it's going to set everyone alight, like when it comes in, because it's going to be front and center of everything that you see on Netflix. I imagine all the promotions for the new TV shows that are coming out will go down the drain, because it's as big as a deal for Netflix as it is for WWE. So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of it's going to be interesting to see if people that have watched it in the past start to watch it, if they can keep those people engaged. It's going to be interesting to see if we've got somebody that's never watched it before and keeps them engaged.
Yeah,
going to keep me engaged because I'm here.
yeah, of course.
I've got no choice.
It's like we were saying off air, right? When obviously they've made WWE Network available allegedly for perhaps people that haven't subscribed to it. Maybe someone like a Lats fan who might just want to sort of dip in and see what's going on. Maybe see the latest NXT or Deadline or whatever it was. It might generate some interest, especially if you're a Netflix subscriber, certainly, which I am. When you've got a massive deal like that, it'll be very interesting to see how that deal will go. Certainly here where we are in the UK, if the we get all the broadcasts, all the what do they call them now? They don't call them PPVs. They call them
PLEs now.
Premium live events or something, right? It'll be very interesting to see if they remain. If you sign up for their subscription, similar to network, if you're spending out a tenner a month. Go ahead.
I will be telling you a little bit more about that at the end.
Okay.
Along with some expectations / kind of some that we know to kick off the first Raw and stuff. But we do know a little bit more. Not massive amounts. They had a media event.
Yes, they did.
Last couple of weeks, we have the only thing that we have is the people that were there. And
I know some of this.
Yeah, people that were there, and one comment about the rating from Nick Khan. Other than that, everybody's speculating that they have all signed a contract. All the media outlets that were there have all signed a contract that they can only start saying certain things at a certain time on a certain day. Which is why there's little bits here and there, but not a massive amount. But yeah, that was that.
Do you know one name that was involved in that event that hasn't been seen in some time?
Yes, that is on my. It's almost like you're reading my mind. That is also on my other news section.
Good man.
Quickly to go through the rest of Raw. There was then 3 matches to finish it off. Gunther and Dominic Mysterio, which Gunther won. R-Truth and Pete Dunne, which is kind of simmering away in the background between him, R-Truth, Pete Dunne, Sheamus, quite a few people actually. So they've got some scope to kind of. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because even though they've all been around the business for so long, they've kind of muddied in. Yeah, they've kind of muddied in all the time. But because of that, they've ended up being middle of the road type wrestlers to some extent.
I don't know about that. You're talking about a former NWA champion there, mate.
In terms of where they're put on cards, in terms of how they're not in the main pictures of any of the championships, in terms of how they're used for storylines that aren't watched by massive amounts of people. It's an odd one because they shouldn't be there, but they sometimes it's kind of leveled out to where they are. Go on.
I get what you mean when you're talking about Pete Dunne, because I don't think he's reached his full heights yet. Whatever happened to Butch?
Yeah, I think he probably went into the back and said, "Never put me out as that again, please."
Quite possibly. Well, obviously, I'm doing a bit of an Archer thing here, but with someone like him, who certainly in this country is such a big name on certainly in the independent scene before he got his call up to Raw. He's got so much potential still in him. I think he's got every potential, especially the style that he wrestles, to move up the card. I wouldn't be surprised. Here's a big prediction for you. What do you fancy for a Pete Dunne Intercontinental title reign in some time in the next year?
I know that me and Jordan have been calling that for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's never come to fruition.
Oh wow!
Not specifically that title, but a push. We've called for it as he was amazing on NXT and had some amazing matches with Tyler Bate.
Oh goodness me, yes, he has. I know a lot of Pete Dunne stuff from back away from the mainstream stuff. I saw a lot of potential in him when I was watching Watch Culture Pro Wrestling, WCPW, and I like the joint manipulation. I kind of like the old-fashioned brawling style that he does, the old biting of the fingers, etc. As a heel guy, I think he's fantastic at that. So I know what you're saying about your general point, but yeah, I would not be surprised to see a bit of a Pete Dunne elevation soon. I hope so.
It would be well overdue. I think that's why when speaking about people that are from the UK, that's when Will Ospreay said he's committing to AEW. I was really pleased about, because in this country we've then still got the opportunity to see him at these independent shows if he chooses to be there. For example, he just turned up to the me and Shane fortunately were right next to behind the entrance ramp at the Rev Pro show.
Nice.
The Rev Pro show at All In Weekend. And Will Ospreay was just floating around there the night before one of the biggest matches he'll ever have in his career.
We were there. We had a great time.
He was just floating around. You saw him a couple of times and you go, oh my God, look who he is.
To be fair, I get that reaction everywhere I go, mate, as well, you know. It's what happens when you're in this game, you know.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's quite the same response. We'd like to probably think so. And I suppose it's...
If you were ever going to put out that video that I know I made for you about me doing HBK's song, that would have been the time to do it.
The good thing is, when you send me stuff like that, I can barely remember what I did as of yesterday. So as you just reminded me of that I'd completely gone from my brain sphere, and now it's come back to the forefront again.
I tried the girls wild. Certainly, I drive my missus wild anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and hopefully she's not watching just that 10-second clip. Just there.
I'm sure she's a subscriber, and so should you be. If you're not already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I know this YouTube game, mate.
Yeah. It's an odd one. It's bizarre. You sit there and you think, is anyone watching? And I'll never forget that one day that somebody just popped in and said, hi, I'm watching from Dubai. And I thought, really?
There you go.
Like,
this is the joy of this platform, mate. It goes worldwide.
Yeah, it's mad when you think about it. And I just thought to myself, what? Somebody from Dubai, so even if you're spending a minute tuning in and watching something that I do in my house, and I'm thinking,
absolutely. That's what I love about this, mate.
But you did, so that's all good. Unfortunately, like I said, my memory is very awful, so I do apologise if you watch this back and think that was me. We appreciate you tuning in, however long you tune in, or whenever you tune in, or if you never tune in again, we appreciate
whenever we'll always be together. I'll be here and you'll be near. Sorry.
On that note, if just in case I forget, we are over the next couple of weeks. I will be asking everybody that's been a part of this channel a few questions, and in turn, I hope to get as many of them on here, or a representation of their picks or a video, or whatever that might be, when the world of wrestling is a little bit quieter between now and Christmas, as a review of the year, last video of the year type thing. Random thought that I had whilst driving home from the gym today. So
good idea, sir. I love it.
It's weird. It's weird when you get these little bits of inspiration.
Moments of inspiration. Yes, you read my mind again.
Yeah, it's odd. So to finish off Raw, Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins then had the main event. Seth used Sami's emotions against him in the closing moments of Raw, convincing him to put down a steel chair, but instead catching him with a roll up to pick up the win. Yeah. He attempted to plead his case, insisting that he did not attack Jey Uso backstage, nor did he screw him out of the win that he's just got. Seth makes his way up the ramp, but a hooded Drew McIntyre makes his return in the ring, hitting Sami Zayn with a Claymore, standing tall over Sami to close out the show.
Yeah, I've seen this many a time with Drew. It doesn't get old for me, to be honest. Big 6'5", 6'6", big Glaswegian fella in the Claymore. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's not something that I would want to happen if I turn around, to be honest.
No, probably not.
No. So I'm going to take a weird turn and jump past NXT and AEW and go to SmackDown.
Okay.
But first of all, I've just subscribed on my phone. Thank you very much, Christopher.
Cheers, Christopher. Thanks for being here, mate.
Appreciated. Welcome to the channel. We always want to hear your input, even though we speak on here. We always want to hear the people that are watching's input as well. And it'll always be put on at a relevant moment in time. So, SmackDown. Let me get my fancy banners. I don't normally use them. So there we are. So we've skipped over. Imagine a world where NXT Deadline and AEW didn't exist. And we've completely skipped over.
Was it?
It was. We've completely skipped over them until the moment in time when they come back up, which will be after this one. Plot twist.
Gotcha.
So, Cody Rhodes starts off in the ring. Chad Gable, an American Made, interrupt him, which after my notes that I've done for other notes is the start of something exciting between all three of the brands.
Ooh.
Very much reminiscent of a football transfer window. We will now have the ability to, from all three brands, from anyone to switch between the three brands. There is no set amount of time, but I would imagine it is in essence of the Netflix era, as people are calling it now, to kind of see. This is a weird one, isn't it? Because the draft in terms of between Raw and SmackDown, it's just people switching across. So it doesn't really have that much of an impact in terms, it just changes what night of the week they're on our TV.
Yeah.
I think this is more for NXT and the switches between NXT to Raw and SmackDown. They're at a point where their program is amazing. And there is some new faces coming through. So is that a sense of, right, these people that have been here for a little while and practicing the trade, are they moving across? In essence, with the Netflix era, the Royal Rumble, Mania, etc., etc. But this is just my guess. And when I was listening to a few people, go on.
Would you think? So maybe some of the established names that are currently on NXT, if they transfer out to, say, Raw or SmackDown, do you think there's every possibility that some of these new WWE ID recruits or something could possibly work their way onto NXT then? Is that the plan, do you think?
I didn't think of that, but it's a good point. It makes a lot of sense. When that was first announced, we got a couple of names through that we're going to be joining that. but it's gone a little bit quiet since then. So who knows? That might be a. And I think
what we know about WWE ID is certainly some well-recognized figures, including Booker T, who have got their own little things going on. There certainly will be opportunity for talent, not just in the States. I mean, I don't think there's an awful lot of European-based talent. Maybe for one name. Now, what was her name? Kylie Ray? Or something like that? Someone who's previously been on amongst WWE is certainly one of the female figures who's got this WWE ID thing. What I think is quite exciting about this is you don't know who's going to show up and when. That's I think for paying public goes to see one of these shows. When you see some of these exciting talents coming through, if they're going to be presented on a television show, they're going to be presented well. If they're going to be managed by HBK, you can't. If you're going to make a start or make a restart in some cases to your WWE career, that it's not a bad place to start off, is it?
There is another story arc that I can add on to that, but if we don't stop releasing the other news, we won't have anything at the end. So
sorry, it's my brain that just says sorry,
because
I hear voices in the head.
because I've just like literally typed them up as well. It's in my brain from just typing them up. So that's why I wouldn't have been able to add the Chad Gable thing. So to go back to my point, Chad Gable and American Mage were previously on Raw. So with them both coming on SmackDown, that alludes to that might be the first transfer, if we can call it that. So they interrupt Cody Rhodes and started talking about the transfer window that was coming up, and that they've been talking to Nick Aldis as well. They then traded insults as a good wrestling segment of a TV show does. Cody Rhodes says, speak to Nick Aldis then, and set up between a match between Cody Rhodes and Chad Gable for this evening, which he did. There was then another lot of the women's US title tournament triple threat. There was another one of these, and I don't want to say it over again, but I'll just leave this up to Lee's interpretation. The three we had in were Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and Elektra Lopez. And
now, I'll be lying if I said I knew who Lopez was.
I wasn't sure of the name when I saw it, to be honest.
If I said what was in my head, I'd probably get thrown off the channel.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Sorry, children.
To be honest, I think by the words that have been used before of this channel, I think the children may have been told not to watch this channel. So I think we're safe, but I think that blurs the line between us, a joke, and something else. Although it has
Tell me about this triple threat match, mate.
Yeah, the triple threat match. So, if I was to further my point on from what I was saying earlier, my hope would be that the one that we didn't know much about, I'm not going to say a name again because that'll set me off again. And
I blame Andy Daxon. That's what I'm saying.
But in typical WWE fashion, Tiffany Stratton wins.
Of course she does.
So, yeah.
Why wouldn't she? I mean, it's like she needs a win, right?
It's almost like she's not in every single episode of Raw, SmackDown, every premium live event,
right,
and now NXT as well, as we'll allude to very soon. So yeah, she's won that. So yeah, we move on. If Triple H watches this somehow, I'm just going to tell you to do better.
Well, tonight I'm gonna be watching Wrestle Dogs and not doing anything about it.
Yeah, probably. That would probably be also the response.
Yes.
We then had a match between Bianca Belair and Piper Niven, which Belair won. Shinsuke Nakamura then comes out to the ring for his, what they call on these wrestling programs, a title celebration.
Excellent.
He doesn't get the title celebration he wants because LA Knight comes out to interrupt him. They were about to have fisticuffs, but then Andrade came out from behind. That also sounds very bizarre. And said he wanted his shot now at Shinsuke Nakamura for that title. So that brings a new person into that title picture. We then had a segment that I'm bitterly disappointed about for the tag team titles. We had the Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. And in true WWE fashion, we had DIY winning the titles, so taking them off Motor City Machine Guns. They did kind of have a little bit of a falling out at the end, which could allude to them maybe having a little bit of a tiff.
Well, the Machine Guns having a tiff? They've only just got there, haven't they?
No, DIY having a tiff.
Oh, right, okay. But they hoodwinked everybody, mate. That's what it was, right?
I'm just disappointed, to be honest.
I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, because we had a new tag team that were very exciting to watch. And they were given the title straight away, which you think, oh my God, is it too early? They were given it, but now they've been taken off them again. So it's kind of like giving somebody a push, but then while they're on that push, pushing them straight back down again and giving them a kick for the way down as well. So yeah, it's a little bit disappointing for me because, as I've alluded to over the last couple of weeks, the titles, apart from one, are now with people that have had it for a long time or are really expected to have it or that have had it before.
Right.
So, yeah.
We should probably allude to the fact that obviously DIY did turn heel in this match, right?
Mm-hmm.
As for the Machine Guns, right? Yeah, I know they made a sort of very quick impact in at least picking up them titles, which is a nice thing because they've obviously been around the business an awful long time. It's great to see them picking up the accolade in the WWE. Doesn't mean to say they can't pick it up again.
Oh yeah, there's
down the line somewhere. But I wouldn't be writing off the Machine Guns just yet.
Yeah, no, I hope not. But yeah, it was just one of those ones that left a little bit of taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
So there was then the main event between Chad Gable and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes wins to no surprise. Kevin Owens comes out and went after him, but then they did, oh my God, you're going to split us up, but you're not. We're going to lead to think that we are split up, and then we'll get back together, and then we won't. And then the crowd will get involved, and then the big security will come in, and then we'll eventually get split up. So yeah, that's where that went as the show went off air. So that was that. We have in a random turn of events now, we're going to do a complete company change and then come back again to the other company. So AEW, let me change my banner so people know where we're at, because we're taking a very round the way type of things tonight. It's here, there, and everywhere. Much like my thinking throughout the day, most days. So,
yeah, I hear you, mate.
So, AEW is all about the Continental Cup at the moment, along with a special Winter is Coming edition of Dynamite that's next Wednesday. So the matches that we had in the Continental Cup were Shelton Benjamin, Carl Fletcher. Carl Fletcher won by no surprise by cheating and holding the ropes on a roll up.
I like that though. I like that.
Yeah, I do actually.
Because Shelton coming in as a veteran, doing his role and helping put Fletcher over, I think is great. It really helps him out, puts a bit of credibility on him.
I suppose they can't do it any different though. Don Callis' family aren't a family that are my mind's gone blank. Aren't faces. None of them are faces. They shouldn't be faces, and they'll never be faces. So that's how they're going to finish matches if they can. And obviously, even if the referee did see it, the commentary will tell you the referee never saw it, so it's all right. We'll carry it on. So the other match,
did it and you didn't see it.
The other match in the Continental Cup was Brody King against Claudio Castagnoli. Claudio won that one.
Yeah.
So there were your two Continental Cup matches. We then had Hook coming out. He called out Nick Wayne and the Patriarchy because obviously Taz is out at the hands of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say kayfabe, but he's had some surgery if anybody wants to know. But so he called them out. They didn't come out. It was just Christine Cage coming out. And I think it's quite cool how they've done his briefcase. It's not a briefcase. It's like a contract thing. It's now a little bit battered because of what happened. So I think that's quite cool that they're keeping that up. And they've obviously got the funds to get a couple of contract cases.
Yeah.
Rather than just the one. So all hail wrestling money, I suppose. Christian Cage then comes out on his own, but to no one's surprise, Nick and Kip Sabian attacked Hook from behind, which then they smashed Hook's hands between two steel chairs, which is something that was quite inventive, actually, just targeting the hand. Don't know why. Probably never know why, but that's how that one ended.
Targeting the hands. So let's think. So we saw keep it clean.
Okay.
Because how does the Tasmission go? And we saw the Tasmission be applied. It's sort of hook him with the hands like that, right?
Uh-huh.
So maybe you thought, well, that's a credible weapon against us. That's why we're going to target that body part, maybe leading to another move, perhaps? Yeah. Question mark?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I'm just working off the top of my head.
I did think you were just going to tell me that wrestlers tend to use their hands to wrestle. So,
no, I wouldn't be as daft as that, mate. What are you talking
about?
Just taking away my credibility here. What are you doing?
So the other matches that we had during this show. I'll just quickly round up them because the last bit of news I think was the most exciting of the night. So Max Caster fought Swerve Strickland, which Swerve won. There was Jay White versus Pac. Jay White won that one, and then Anna Jay picked up a win against Penelope Ford. We then had the Dynamite Dozen, Battle Royal. If you aren't aware of what that may mean, because they do like to give all fancy different names to everything now. Basically, MJF's Dynamite Diamond Ring that he's held for the last 3 or 4 years, I think, off the top of my head.
Been a while.
So basically, I think I'm trying to think there was a graphic. It's either 4 or 5, one of the two. So the last two in not normal Battle Royale formats, it was the last two that would win this Battle Royal rather than the last one. So the last two remaining people would face each other next week at the Winter is Coming special edition of Dynamite, like I alluded to. And then the winner of that one will face MJF at the next pay-per-view, which is World's End. And the winner of that will get the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So, just in case people haven't been watching AEW, over the last couple of weeks, both Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly both wanted shots at MJF. MJF put them the situation of whoever wins the next 3 matches first will face me at the next pay-per-view, which Kyle O'Reilly did and lost. So the last two that was left in this Dynamite Diamond Ring, to no surprise, was Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. So if logic prevails, which doesn't often happen in wrestling, if logic prevails, Adam Cole will win. So they both had a shot at MJF, but that might not happen. We'll find out.
That would be long-term storytelling because, of course, Cole and MJF had something going on during Cole's long-term absence, didn't they? So that'll be a good story to tell eventually if they can put a match together there. That'll be a long time coming.
So yeah, I think it may prevail this time, and that may happen. But obviously,
that makes sense to me.
I'll find out. Last NXT before deadline, I'm going to rattle through it really quick. There was a last chance qualifying match for both the men's and women's, where the 4 people that had been unsuccessful in their qualifying matches faced each other to get the last place. Jada Parker, Ren Sinclair, Cora Jade, and Kalani Jordan on the women's side, which Ren Sinclair won. And then on the men's side, there was Lexis King, Axion, Cedric Alexander, and Eddie Thorpe, which Eddie Thorpe won. Stay tuned to find out what happened with that.
You'll have to forgive me for a second, mate. I'm going to have to move my phone over because I need to plug it in.
No, that's all good. So we then had another match announced for Deadline when we had Jada Parker and Lola Vice announced for an underground match. We then had a number 1 contenders tag team battle royal to face, as they're better known to all the younger viewers, Fraxium on Deadline as well. No Quarter Catch Crew won that one. Eric Bischoff then comes out. This is the weirdest use of Eric Bischoff ever. Not even a special guest referee. He was basically just a hype man for 2 people for a match at a future pay-per-view. Have you seen any of this?
I did see Bischoff come out, do an entrance and stuff, but if that's all he's doing, that sounds like an awful waste of an Hall of Famer, to be honest.
So a week before he came up on the screen and said, "I'll be there next week to basically rattle you both up and build the storyline." He then came in this week, bigged them both up, and then when fisticuffs started happening, he just left the ring, and that was the end of it. So it was.
Don't get it.
It was a waste, to be honest.
Yeah.
It could have been, to be honest. There's so many better uses. He could have come out and announced the first NXT on Netflix or anything like that. Would have been a much better use of him. So I think that was a waste. He probably thought the same when he got the calls about it. But obviously, he would have been given a sum of money, which I also would have taken if I had to do that little amount of work.
You know what you say is controversy creates cash. So that's probably what you did, maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would have done exactly the same. So credit to him.
All about the money.
Credit to him also for being bigger than an ego and saying, oh, well, I can do better than this. Well, actually, I'll just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Which he could have said, which he'd have been well within his rights to say as well. So, so he stepped away from the ring. Ridge Holland then takes out Trick with a Redeemer through the announce table, which then leaves you to the question of, oh my God, is he going to be medically cleared for the match at Deadline? Spoiler alert, he was absolutely fine. Bischoff, what I found quite interesting during that segment, probably the only interesting thing that he got to say, was that he compared NXT to WCW, which was bizarre in many ways.
I don't see it.
I don't either. As I was writing it, I tried to put let's sit in the middle of the camp and see what he actually meant. And I came to much more what you're talking about than I see what you mean in my head.
So in my head, NXT is all about the up-and-coming performers, the next generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
What WCW was all about, and ladies and gentlemen, I was there. I saw a lot of it. It was about a lot of the old names from the WWF as was, who had turncoated and joined WCW, which turned into a right mess because they were trying to fit everyone into the NWO.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Yeah, no, I know it fits in quite well because obviously we did the a little bit back now. We did the review of the show that they did on the kind of rise and fall of them. And well, the first thing that stood out to me is that NXT aren't competition to WWE; they're an extension of WWE. WCW was pure competition to WWE, so that was my first. Yeah, that makes no sense. Like you alluded to, NXT is up and coming. WCW made a lot of their success by just stealing people that they could from WWE with looking at their current contract and saying, look, here's what we can do. And here's what we can do better to what you're not getting now. That's basically how they got them. And threw a massive amount of money at them at the same time. So, yeah, there are two big things that I thought of straight off the bat. That, it was probably in his contract, right, Eric? You've just got to say something that is completely off the cuff and makes no sense at all, just to get people talking about this segment and not about
that's what it's all about. It's crazy.
Yeah, so. That was that. I think anyone's interpretation would be, what the heck are you talking about? So Carmen Petrovic won over Nikita Lyons. Gigi Dolan won over Izzy Dane. And then there was a brawl between Roxanne Perez and all the women that were involved in the Iron Survivor match to end the show. Obviously setting up when we did NXT Deadline. I really liked the pay-per-view. I'm gonna do a major turn of events. I'm gonna give my review of the pay-per-view and overall thoughts before I go through the matches, because why not? Much like the War Games pay-per-view was with WWE last week. Unfortunately, when you have two matches that are a stipulation that people are excited about and you put them two ends of the card, unfortunately, the matches in the middle, even if they're really good, aren't taken to very well because the excitement and the energy by the crowd is put into the two Iron Survivor matches or the two War Games matches.
Yeah.
Taken away from that, though, much like the War Games match, both were really good. The matches in the middle weren't terrible. I would have seen them better than potentially the crowd would, because the crowd obviously have given all their noise and excitement and joy into the two matches. But overall, I think it's a really good stipulation that's exciting, much like War Games. One that's not used very often, so we haven't got fatigue of seeing 24 elimination chambers throughout a 2-year period, or 76 battle royals on every week of Raw. So just in case you don't kind of know what an Iron Survivor Challenge is, it's an NXT thing, much like War Games was, but then WWE stole it from them. Eventually, this is probably what will happen to this one as well. And we'll have an Iron Survivor tournament, pay-per-view, whatever that may be. I am going to bring your comment up, Christopher, but after I've spoke about that said thing, because that will come up very soon. So going into that, so the Iron Survivor Challenge is a match that lasts 25 minutes. So there's, just counting to make sure that I'm right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't count to 5 now. 1, 5. So there is 5 entrants, 2 start in the ring, and every 5 minutes after that, one of them will be involved in the match. It is 5, which is all for themselves, and the winner will be whoever after the 25 minutes have got the most pinfalls. The only catch is if you get pinned, you get put in a sin bin for a minute, which in a match that's time constrained, you need the time to obviously score the pinfalls. So that's basically the easy premise of it. I think it's quite exciting because it adds, different elements to a time-restricted match that I don't think we've really got in anything else, because the person being locked away alludes to Elimination Chamber, but once you're out of the box or chamber or whatever it is that you're in, you're out of it. You're not going back in it again unless somebody puts you through it. Right. So I don't think there's anything else that is kind of like this, which makes it, I think, that little bit more exciting. So on the men's side of things, we had Javon Evans, Wesley, Nathan Fraser, Ethan Page, and a late entry because it was told to us on the countdown to the show that Ava has found a replacement for Eddie Thorpe because he is not going to be competing in this match. But it was left to everyone's guesses who that might be. There was speculation beforehand that it would be Penta, who is out of contract with AEW and has
lots of speculation about him at the moment.
Speculation that he's signed for WWE. So that's the main name I saw floating around. I don't think we actually saw the name that actually came in talked about, which is really good. So Javon Evans and Wesley started the match in the ring. Nathan Fraser and then Ethan Page followed. The final entry, which was your mystery guest, was Obafemi. And that completely changed the landscape of the match. He has had a title push in NXT before, but he's been out for a little while, so this was kind of his return. Beforehand, we didn't have Eddie Thorpe's not a small guy, but we didn't have someone that was as dominating as Obafemi, so he completely kind of changed the landscape of the match. I can now put Christopher's comment up. it was, yes, Obafemi, which is really good because, again, we spoke about it with the New Day type stuff. It's really nice when things happen that nobody expects because we live in the social media age where everything, unfortunately, gets ruined most of the time. There isn't very often that it's not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that was, again, really good. So all 5 of them picked up a pinfall. This is where it all makes it. This is where I have to read it back and think and hope that it all makes sense, and that I don't have to think how I should have written it. So all 5
Come on.
Then they all tried to take out Obafemi. Evans and Page, in the meantime, stole some extra falls, but then Obafemi at the end just turned on the beast mode and hit both Fraser and Wesley with a double choke slam and pinned them both to win the match. So it's quite an inventive ending as well, which is really good. Looking at the future picture, Trick Williams and Obafemi is on paper a perfect face against a heel, which I'm certainly looking forward to, because all you hear during Trick Williams matches is the crowd chanting his name. So it will be nice to see how that. I don't know. It's a weird one because I don't know whether Obafemi is a massive heel character, because the characteristics of a heel character is somebody that everybody hates most of the time. And I don't think he's hated. So in a typical sense of a heel, he's not that, but he is.
Anti-heel.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, everyone kind of impressed in that match and had their moments. And it was a really good match to watch, although not as good as the women's one. So there was then a underground match between Lola Vice and Jada Parker. Again, if you don't kind of know what this means, it means they get rid of the ring ropes, dim the lights down a little bit, and start trying to knock each other out, basically.
Does that bring out Shane McMahon again, no?
No, that was thankfully that ship sailed. That ship sailed in terms of everybody crowding around the outside of the ring as well, because that was not really of any use either. So it was a little bit of a weird way to take this pay-per-view, having all the lights dimmed, and but it was what it was. So Lola Vice remains undefeated in Underground, but Jada Parker was definitely the toughest opponent she's faced on this run, and it's propelled them both. I don't think neither of them need propelling anymore, but they just both look good. Thanks for that, Christopher. We've got a fact checker. I love that. Might employ you
in NXT and Underground. Nice.
We might employ you in the comments to be permanent fact checker. We do need one of them. It's normally me looking on Google on my phone. So
definitely.
So
check us out on Wrestle Dogs on Instagram. We'll get in touch.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love a fact checker. That would be amazing. Be above our level of we're not Joe Rogan-esque yet or anything like that, but fact checker's a fact checker. The match felt a little long, even though it was around 13 minutes. Again, I think because of what I mentioned before, because of the match that started off, the crowd had given all their energy to that match, and we're kind of recovering from the madness that was that match. Yeah. So I think that played a part in it. There was an impressive spinning kick to set up the submission from Lola Vice, and that was that. We then had, like I alluded to, as the kids would like to call them, Fraxium versus No Quarter Catch Crew, which was Miles Bourne and Taven Heights. Both teams looked great. quite a surprising result, as it looked like the tag team run had come to an end for Fraxium, one of them having a kayfabe or non-kayfabe injury. And it felt like they'd run the course, but obviously not the case. It was a great showcase for both of the individuals from No Quarter Catch Crew, because they are two out of that kind of faction that don't get much in-ring or on-air time at all. So that was good for them. Propels their names into people's thinking. And yeah, I think it does. Like I say, when you've held some titles for a long time, I always think it's not the people that retain the title that get the glory all the time. It's the people that maybe was their toughest test or did really well against them. So I think that's the case of that one there. We then had the NXT Championship match between Trick Williams and Ridge Holland. Again, one that I was really looking forward to. Because of the stuff they put into the lead up to the match. Some bits have been a little bit wrong, but I was looking forward to it. Again, much like the others, it was okay. It wasn't bad, but nothing really to shout about. Probably the weakest of the three matches, potentially not. The story work in the match was good, but like I say, again, like much before, the crowd a little bit flat, although Trick Williams is getting better and better, which alludes to what I think could happen in terms of the transfer window of NXT.
It certainly would have done him plenty of good working with Bully Ray Dudley, wouldn't it, over the last sort of little while?
Yeah, I think that could lead further on to Obafemi taking the title off him and then him going to either Raw or SmackDown. Although it wouldn't be on the debut of either Raw or SmackDown, because the first NXT is New Year's Evil, and that is where the two title matches will take place. So it would be, I don't know, essentially Raw after Royal Rumble.
Oh, is there a surprise entrance?
Yeah, there is. Might be a cat. I can't see you, so there's no good waving.
He wants to come away now. Charlie's on his radio.
Well, she's not in yet.
Oh, he's just walking off set. Oh, dear.
Where's she gone?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're stuck in my hand just for the moment. So this is the point of the show where I will say, make sure if we've got this far, please hit that like button for all the guys on Wrestle Dogs. And, of course, make sure you're looking at the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Wrestle Dogs for anything behind the scenes.
She was hiding underneath the ring, as sometimes people do upon entering the Royal Rumble, just to stay out the way.
I see. It makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. So that was the to add a little bit of dramatic effect there. She is somewhere, but much like everyone, is trying to keep warm. So she's laying next to a radiator.
That sounds excellent.
So that, is good thinking. So we had the women's Iron Survivor Challenge, which was between Julia, Ren Sinclair, Sol Ruka, a name you might not have heard of, called Zaraya, and then Stephanie Baker. So I've got a little bit of a more of a play for this one, because I watched it whilst doing notes, while as the other one I watched whilst not doing notes and just watching the pay-per-view. So Julia and Ren Sinclair started off the match. Soruka came in over the top rope, taking them both out with a double kick and dominating them both for a few minutes as the third. Julia picks up the first fall just before Zaraya comes out. Everyone then teams up against her because she is not massive in the sense of height or stature. I think it's more of a powerhouse type build.
Reputation as well, perhaps.
Yeah. If you're being teamed up against, people are worried about you, basically.
Yeah.
In simple terms. So she comes out. Everyone then teams up against her. She looks really exciting. It's certainly a name to look out for. As I've alluded to, I don't think there's anyone quite like her in the NXT women's division at the minute. They're all kind of athletic type wrestlers, would you say? Kind of high flyers or just technically good wrestlers. So it adds a new element, which is really good. The cat's now scratching at the door to get out again.
Huh. The cat's going through the forbidden door, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, or much like, who was it that got the shortest time in the Royal Rumble? Was it
Santino?
Yeah, came in and then got knocked out straight away. So she just wanted to do
Morella.
Yeah, she wanted to do that impression for the channel. So the cat? No, not
surprised I didn't say Warlord, to be honest. But
let's see where I'm at now. So yes, she's not anything like that in the women's picture. Sol Ruka then picks up the next fall, but this one was quite comical, to be fair. Ren Sinclair had just come out the penalty box, just got let out, came into the ring, and then Sol Ruka hit it with a Snoll Snatcher, which put her back in the penalty box again. So that was quite cool. I've put back you go on my notes.
Back in your box, please.
Yeah.
There you go.
She did actually spend more time in the box than in the match, to be fair. Sol Ruka and Julia then powerbombed. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. Zaraya?
Zaraya sounds right to me, mate.
So they put her through, powerbombed her through the table with some force. I don't know how to explain it. So, like, normally, when somebody gets through a table, it looks like they're meant to do it. It looks like they've placed them on a certain point of the table that was potentially weaker, and then it's gone through. But they kind of
potentially weak. What are you saying? It's gimmicked.
Sorry for anybody that thought it was real. So they put her through the table, but it kind of didn't break as it's meant to. It just kind of folded on the sides and into the middle. And it all kind of fell in. The easiest way to describe it, all kind of fell at one time, rather than it's normally like it's quite obvious. But it all kind of went at one time. So announce table with force. Stephanie Vacchio then comes in, and the last 10 minutes, I couldn't really keep up with the notes because everybody was doing moves to each other, and I didn't know who was who. Everyone was trading moves, and everything was so fast paced. Great to watch, but not great if you're trying to keep up with your notes. Zaraya then picks up a fall on Julia. Stephanie Vacchio then picks up a fall, which sent Ren back into the box again. As I've said, she spent so much time in the penalty box. Sol Ruka, every time she wrestles, keeps impressing me. She's definitely one of the most exciting things in wrestling at the minute, period. So Ren Sinclair then eventually, after spending 90% of the match in the box, picks up a fall. And that was with 33 seconds to go. So this is where it all went a little bit crazy. Straight after she picked up that one fall, she rolled up somebody else, and it looked like for a minute she was going to win, but gets a 2 count. Zaraya comes back from being powerbombed through the table to take both Ren Sinclair and Stephanie Vecchio out with a spear. Stephanie Vecchio then rolls out the way, appears to be hurt from that spear, which it would have hurt. And Ren Sinclair then gets hit with an F5, not by Brock Lesnar, no, by Saraya.
Okay. Would have been an interesting concept if that had actually happened. I mean, it's rumored to be coming back. So,
yeah, unfortunately, from recent allegations, that wouldn't be far from the truth either. But
yeah, true.
Yeah, we'll leave
Move
that
on.
One. We have then, but then in comes.
Why does it always break down with us? Why?
I don't know. I think it's just my mind going, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, and then it just comes out. So in comes Julia then and hits a G trigger, which I'm not a big fan of that name because it's one of those ones. Taken in the wrong context, it doesn't sound that great. So she does that and gets the deciding pinfall win. Like I say, that was much better than the men's match. Everyone looked great. I think even though Julia won, kind of expected because they've been giving her a massive push. Saraya came out of that match the best, I think. Certainly would have been put in the picture of people that didn't know much about her before this one. And I've put easily eclipses the men's match.
Right.
So that one was that. We have now spent a lot longer on what I thought we would get to, but that's good because you'd have had a really short video had Lee not have stepped in, because it would have just been me rattling through the notes because you feel like you're talking to yourself, but then you realise you're not.
Absolutely. If it makes it easier on you, mate, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Right, we've got the bits that you'll be able to join in on now, which is really good.
Okay.
So we have the other news section.
Yeah.
I did want to get a visual representation on the screen, but again, the powers of StreamYard wouldn't let me upload the picture. So I have got it in a different tab, so at least you still get it. I have to see Julia versus Roxanne Perez for the NXT Championship again. Yeah, that will be revealed. Well, I'll reveal it now. Both of those matches, like I've said before, are on the first episode of NXT that's on Netflix with their New Year's Evil that they've used over the last couple of years. So let me
Which way did you expect that match to go, mate? I would tell you what I think, because I think Perez has been champion for a while, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see a new champion here.
Yeah, I do think we could have, although I probably don't see it happening to both, but I think it probably makes more sense for this one to go the way of Julia winning and then Roxanne Perez going over to the main roster. I think it would be, I don't know, they could do both of them. It makes sense for both of them, but I think it would be one or the other. Whichever one they choose and think's more appropriate, I suppose. So I see that happening. Was that what you were kind of thinking as well, or?
Absolutely, especially with the big build up with Julia coming in and doing the coming in obviously after a bit of a delay because of an injury and stuff. I think that you'd expect to see her fast tracked. That's why I'd think.
Yeah, so I'm going to change. I've got a specific banner for this one, actually, for what doesn't sound great as the Netflix era, does it? We've got the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression era, the PG era, and then the Netflix era. It doesn't really sound that great. But yeah, that's what it's being called. So we've just got to do that. So things to expect from the first Raw on Netflix. And this is where technology will work, which is good.
Good old Google, eh?
So, courtesy of Burn It Down YT from Instagram, his account's very popular, and he has a YouTube channel that is on 50k subscribers. I checked that just before, just so I could credit it and kind of not just steal it from him. Or her.
It's nice to credit someone like that, mate. That's good. It's good of you.
I don't know if it's him or her. So we will.
Oh, okay.
Julia has a deal. Okay, fair enough. So possible things that are going to happen may or may not happen on the first episode. So going to rattle them off, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to pick on any of them that may be exciting. There's quite a few of them, actually. So Superstars return. That's obviously going to happen. They want a way to get people excited and watching Raw again. So the potential of a Tiffany Stratton cash-in, possible debuts, a John Cena segment with a build-up to it being his last year, and his Royal Rumble entrance. I did see that one. Roman Reigns and the Bloodline and whatever may be of that come January. Who knows? Travis Scott will be live. This is the bit that's up in the air. So it says TV 14 rating.
Yes.
But I'll come back to that in a second because I've got more about that. Because underneath that, it says lots of cutting, which may or may not happen. We'll see. No more ads during the matches, which is good. Obviously, I don't think... I don't know. I think there's a Netflix where you can pay for adverts, isn't there?
There's certain tiers, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, because there's a couple.
I think that sounds right.
No more ads during matches, like if that relates more to people that are watching it on BT Sports in the UK or any networks in America, where they sometimes do picture-in-picture, don't they, as they call it?
Yeah.
Unfiltered content, which again leads to the TV 14 rating, which may or may not happen. And then obviously new stage design and the new graphics.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything there that particularly excites you? Having a look back now, there's not anything that goes, oh my God, it's just lots of things together, so it looks exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about here. It'll be interesting how they present the product as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Where wrestling has quite often been very kid friendly. I do feel sometimes they try to, breach them boundaries somewhat. With Netflix, they're not so restricted in what they can do as such. But I wouldn't envision a complete role reversal of what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you think like wider scope of this, right? When it's a kid friendly product for a reason, to sell merch, to sell the toys, to sell the bits and pieces and stuff, right? So look, again, we'll see when it's in front of us how different it actually will be. I like the idea that they're not going to cut matches in terms of let's see, action will move on Raw after the break and whatnot. Just to finish the match, maybe advert segment, then backstage segment, interview segment, back to ringside, whatever. That makes sense to me. I think that's a better way of presenting it if you're going to have the adverts there, because adverts mean revenue, means sponsorship, so it means money in.
I think that slightly changes in terms of the deal that Netflix have with WWE now. It's that, right, we can have this on for the 3 hours with no adverts.
Right.
We've both received the amount of money that we're going to get from this partnership. WWE will have paid Netflix. Netflix would have said, right, this is what we expect you to make back from this deal, and that be that. So, yes, there still has to be a way for Netflix to make money and WWE to make money independently of each other. But in terms of this deal, I suppose if you look at it like that, they're both getting their good rewards from it. So,
I mean, saying that, they've not been shy, have they, of putting brands and sponsorship all over the ring mat and certain matches. The Mountain Dew lights out match, Bray Wyatt and Knight, for example, at the Rumble a while ago, sort of stands out to me. I suppose that is one way of getting around. If they're not doing commercials, as say, they could do it another way in the presentation of the product, I suppose.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to a funny segment of where we were all going absolutely stir crazy when the first announcements came out that there'd be adverts in the middle of the ring, and we're going, oh my God, you can't do that. They've never done that before in the history of all of wrestling. And now we don't even give it second thought because it's just normal now.
It's been a thing. It's been a thing for a while. If you're a big boxing fan as well, you quite often see like a logo here or there.
Yeah,
I know. We look at that canvas as being sacred, but it is what it is. And modern day, you got to do what you got to do, I suppose.
Absolutely. So I noticed that the other day. I noticed when it first came around, you centered in on that, and you were going, "Oh well, this is," because you kind of have to keep up the act that you've had before. Because if you're angry with it, you can't suddenly be okay with it. So for a while, you were like, "Oh, I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe they've done it. I can't believe they've changed it." But I noticed this time when I was watching it, I didn't even realize it was there. So how things change in such a short space of time, I suppose. Just quickly coming back, Roxanne Perez has held the NXT Women's Championship for 247 days.
That's a long old run, to be fair, isn't it?
It is. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll put my Instagram in as well, and you're more than welcome to be our fact checker full time because this is fantastic.
Yeah, appreciated.
So,
especially for someone who might, like me, who doesn't necessarily see everything, it helps us out tremendously.
Absolutely. I can't remember anything. Anything?
Well, I don't even know what my name is.
That. What I was meant to say is that I can't remember absolutely everything. That was what I was meant to say before I put another blooper in the blooper reel. But luckily, Kyle doesn't have TikTok access, which means that you can quickly take that 10 seconds out and put it into a TikTok. So luckily, I don't have that.
He ignores that.
Yeah, danger looming over my head there. So, so to go back into just the rating bit for a little bit. So at the media Netflix event, Nick Khan said that the family-friendly rating will still be in place.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets a little bit confusing. Because in the US, on the listings of Netflix, it says TV 14, which would allude to something away from family friendly completely. And in the UK ratings on Netflix, I don't know who's got this because it's not to show on Netflix at the minute, but it must be in. People are clever with finding codes and such in there. In the programming and stuff. So in the UK, Raw and SmackDown are rated 15 and NXT is rated 12. So that's where the confusion is. Because, obviously we're PG 13 or whatever they call it era of wrestling. Nick Khan tells us that that's still going to be the case, but then the people that are showing the programs say it's not. So I don't know. We'll find out. It's one of those ones. And then I suppose that leads on to the Netflix Media Day that we don't know much about other than who was there and what Nick Khan said. Because I think that was I telling you before? I've already told everybody on YouTube about the stuff that's happened that they can't tell people about.
You mentioned that bit a little while ago. There's still certain bits that they can't or won't mention right now. What we didn't allude to is a certain major superstar that hasn't been seen on television for a number of months now.
You may as well finish it off, Lee.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was the return of Becky Lynch. Obviously, working without a contract at the moment, did appear with Nick Khan in this media event. Obviously, I think it was only a matter of time before she reappeared on our screens. And quite honestly, with her situation, family situation, and everything, I think it's actually quite nice. She's had a bit of time away with her family and everything, and it will freshen up her character a little bit when she does finally come back to our television screens. So it's something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, in accordance to reports, apparently WWE always knew that she was part of the plans.
Yeah,
going into the Netflix era, and it was never a case of worrying whether they had her services still on their brand. It was just that, yeah, she took some time away, which, yeah, it kind of with family and with the book coming out at the same sort of time and all that other things, it allowed her to be present for those other things, I guess.
I mean, she's been wrestling for an awful long time, you know, even before appearing on our screens on NXT. She'd been doing a lot of work here in the UK and stuff. So for her to be sort of granted a bit of time away, that's not a bad thing at all. It gives other talent TV time. It gives other people a chance to shine a little bit. And I think it's probably fair to say there's quite a few that have stepped up and done a good job with that.
Yeah.
But again, it'll be nice to see Becky come back because we know what sort of a fighter she is, and she knows, you know, how popular she is as well. There's lots of possibilities where she could go and what sort of side her character would take as well.
Now, here's a little plot twist. What if to keep the bloodline interested in fresh? Yeah, that's a different idea to War Games. But what if they each introduced a female wrestler into the faction?
Ooh, that's a bit of a saucy one, that, mate.
I'm forever saying...
if you're talking bloodline, there's an obvious one for me, and that's Naomi. Right?
Yeah.
Because of the family connection and stuff.
Yeah, I've been saying for so long they should have killed it off at War Games, and that was the end of it. But that could keep it exciting.
Definitely.
But if WWE start doing that now, I do want some monetary gain from that, because I'm sure they haven't thought of that one before. Other good things that are happening. We spoke about New Year's Evil being the first NXT. What we haven't spoke about is that Tiffany Stratton turned up at Deadline. Ava kind of said, "What on earth are you doing here? You shouldn't be here." Well, she didn't say you shouldn't be here. She can go where she wants, I suppose, in Money in the Bank briefcase.
It's WWE pass, you see. I can go anywhere I like, love.
She said that SmackDown was in the same city as what Deadline was in. I hope that's what she said, because that's what my memory tells me. Right. And that, yeah, she didn't say it in words, but kind of alludes to NXT's not out of my thinking in terms of Money in the Bank, which is an exciting thought for me. Do I think it will happen? I'm going to quickly say no. I think it's just something to keep the rumor mill going in terms of what she's going to do with that Money in the Bank briefcase.
Again, we said this off air. It's almost like Punk teased a little bit of an NXT thing, didn't he, when he appeared in the room with Shawn Michaels, but then obviously decided to go where he went on Raw, right? So who knows? I mean,
who knows?
Stratton showing up on NXT, you know what? That makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mentioned to you earlier, there's so many people that she can go up and wrestle that she won't get a chance to maybe in the main roster. So even if that's a run of a couple of weeks to maybe keep that excitement going and maybe she'll cash in, that would even be great. But yeah, that's one again. TBC, as they say, to be confirmed.
Thank you for confirming
that. Quickly, The Rock has apparently not been planned for Mania 41, which I'm pleased about because we don't want. I think it's quite good, the nostalgia element of a WrestleMania, to have people returning, but we don't want the focus to be on them returning. And if you've got Cena, Stone Cold, which is rumored, The Rock, and whoever else,
right?
Then you kind of go away from this is getting a little bit silly now. Those sort of things only work when it's now and again.
I think WrestleMania should be all about the people that are working week in, week out and get rewarded for being, on the biggest stage. That's what it's all about. Yeah, WrestleMania this year, but in April of 2024 was really interesting, and the way they told stories with Rock and Roman teaming up and doing what they did, I thought was really fun. But yeah, if you're not there week in, week out on television, it just kind of feels like some of the full-time talent gets a little bit of a smack round the face, to be honest. That's my opinion on that. People like Cody, people like Kevin Owens are there all the time. That's kind of my thinking. Where they need to be front and center on that card.
Also, it makes me think of the conversation that Courtaholic had on the news segment about the TV rating. And we both kind of asked each other, well, would you suddenly want it to go from what it is now to Effin and Jeff in 24/7? And it's quite interesting what they said, because a lot of the people on social media would go, oh my God, let's have it back. Let's have all the swearing back. But it was quite interesting what they said. They said the reason why it works in this current era, when somebody says something something that doesn't allude to the rating, it's kind of the older fans going, oh my God, they've actually. So that was what they said. Much like that, like I've just said about the legends returning in WrestleMania, it works because it doesn't happen very often. If it happens,
perhaps in moderation, I think is what you're getting at.
That's
it's the shock element, right?
Yeah, which we have started to see over the last couple of months. They've kind of led towards that. So that's maybe even people go, oh, they're leading towards that. Maybe they're leading up, and then they're just going to let the floodgates open. But I don't think they will. But I thought that,
to be fair, some of that element is already on our screens on WWE's opposition, if you like. And they're not afraid to extend the language barriers up on AEW, are they? And perhaps that's what makes them a little bit different. But then, as a parent, which I am, I'm always very protective of what my little girl sees and what she hears me saying as a YouTuber as well. I'd be a little bit wary.
I do think in terms of that, as Netflix is an open market as well.
Yeah.
Not that it would happen in your household or any household. It might do, but the child could, in theory, turn on the TV, go onto the parents' Netflix and watch whatever they wanted, for example. Not saying that happens, but that could happen.
It could do. Yeah.
So that's what alludes. That's what I meant in terms of this Netflix era. They've got to be fairly careful on what they do. Yes, you can set up kids' profiles and on Netflix and stuff, but you really think that if a child wants to watch something on Netflix, they're going to go, "Oh, and do you know what? I'll play by the rules." Yeah. So I do think that will be in their element of thinking in terms of how that works as well. Last couple of bits. Confirmed that Pat McAfee is coming back full time, which I'm really excited about. I thought he was great when he came in.
Really fresh air.
Yeah, that's
fresh air.
That's what I was going to say next, which is really weird.
His chemistry with Cole was incredible.
Yeah, so they're both going to be on Raw in this somewhat called Netflix era. I've realised I haven't taken this down, and lots of this has filtered into other news, but I'm going to leave it up now. So lastly, we have a weird bit of news because WWE have announced a in-ring reality TV show that is going to go on the American television network E. It is, I think they've been really clever in how they do this actually. So what it's actually called is called LFG. So to the more, I don't know, it's abbreviation of something very different to what it is. So it actually stands for Legends and Future Guests.
Of course it does.
No, Future Greats. Sorry, I've read that wrong. Legends and Future Greats. So that's what it stands for and not what everyone was thinking. So it's not like we've seen this before at all.
They did Legends House, didn't they, a long time ago?
In any other... yeah, they did that, but it's not like we haven't seen this tagline that I'm going to give. So these people that are on this TV show are fighting for a WWE contract and are being mentored by WWE legends. Doesn't take a brain scientist to work out that WWE have done this once before in a very successful show called Tough Enough.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly, I don't know what the word is, inventive thinking from WWE. I'm taking the mic. I am quite excited about it. It hasn't been on for quite a while. And it looks like it's basically a revamp / new modern version of what Tough Enough was. And that potentially, like I said earlier on in the other story arc, that's where the potential transfer window comes into play. Because could that see that even extending to not just Raw, NXT and SmackDown, could that extend to ID and could that extend to LFG as it's named? Which, yeah, I think it's fantastic marketing and it will get people watching it. But then as soon as the credits hit and they realize it's called Legends and Future Greats, some may turn off because it's not what they could have expected from the advertising that they make.
Where's Eric Bischoff when you need him?
Yeah, I can imagine the advertising is going to be fantastic on Raw and SmackDown the lead up to whenever that comes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might extend to those as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I don't imagine we'll get that on Netflix because E will be a direct, somewhat competitor to Netflix in terms of.
It'll probably be a TV exclusive, I think, is what you get. Yeah.
So
sounds right.
It will be available to me on certain websites, and I'll probably give you the scoop on the Sunday shows if I can get it. Again, it's one of those ones that I probably should have kept in my head, to be honest. But
I'm looking forward to Sam dishing the dirt on LFG.
Yeah, I should have. I'm not going to get it on certain websites, and I was just completely lying. So, moving swiftly on to the end of the show. Go on.
I was going to say, do you want to briefly bring up anything about Saturday night's main event?
I could do.
I mean, I'll briefly do what I said to you was of course announced that Jesse the Body Ventura is set to be making a return to the announce desk after many years. Of course, Ventura recently signed a Legends deal to the WWE. It'll be really interesting to see the Body back. I actually watched back on WWE Vault on the YouTube. One of the Saturday night main event was I saw a number of guys, Randy Savage, Andre the Giant. It was the main event, one of the main events for the WWF title. That was really interesting to see. The Body was what if you're not familiar with Jesse too much, he was one of the best in the business. He worked behind the desk with Vince McMahon for many years. I don't think they'll be bringing back Vince, but this is wrestling. But I think that's quite exciting, and there's a few matches that have been announced, of course, for Saturday night's main event, including the big title match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest one. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's being billed as a pay-per-view that's not quite a pay-per-view. Because it's been announced on Raw and SmackDown. It's almost been announced as like a special edition of Raw or SmackDown, hasn't it? But
it's always been a big TV special. It's what Saturday night's main event's always been about. I think one of the biggest drawing ones back in the 80s was when Hogan took on Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, which did record TV viewership back in the day. I would expect if it's been broadcast on NBC, which I think it probably will be, that's where it's traditionally been broadcast, it should do huge numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it might bring you back. It might bring back some of those people that watched it when Saturday night's main event was a big thing and thought, right, what? Might be able to see some of the people that like were originally on them making a return back. It'd be good to see. Like there might be that sort of our favorite. My favorite newest title is the Women's United States Championship will be crowned on Saturday night's main event.
They're doing the US champion as well as Intercontinental.
Mm-hmm. There's two new ones.
Okay, that's cool. As long as they make the best of both these new belts, and like I said, the building of the new stars thing, I think we would like to see, as opposed to the same old faces picking up the TV time. Perhaps that's kind of part and parcel of what you alluded to earlier on with the transfer thing as well. So
yeah, and
that's quite exciting for me.
And I also
as long as Charlotte Flair doesn't show up, immediately grab one of these titles.
Yeah. Again, Triple H, if you're listening, just in case you didn't hear me earlier, I told you to do better in terms of this tournament. So the idea was, I think there was an outcry when one was announced because they said, well, if this one's going to be a Raw or if this one's going to be SmackDown, where's the other one? I think that's the idea of both. And I think that is fully it now. I will put that up.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, if you're not aware, I go under the alias almost like with Gooner Lee Meads. My name's Lee Meadows. Gooner Gathering is my YouTube channel where we talk about Arsenal, so you don't have to. And so obviously Sam's one of our members of our crew. We put out a pretty lively show last night on the back of Fulham 1, Arsenal 1. So yes, appreciate if you'd stopping by and giving our channel a look and give us a subscribe and all that business. Cheers. And Sam, it's been a pleasure being here with you as always.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Just last comment. Bailey versus Chelsea Green, and Mitchin versus Tiffany Stratton in the semi-finals this Friday on SmackDown. Again, as I read out those names, my point's proven again. But there we go. We move. You can find me on here. That is my Instagram. You can find us posting once in a blue moon on Instagram. Hopefully at some stage we may do a little bit more, but life happens. Patreon is just here. It's normally up in one of the corners, but for technical difficulties, it's not. Like I say, we are looking to do a review show. I wanted that to be the last sort of show because it makes logical sense in this year. But that will be at a random week when there's no pay-per-views. So I've got to sit down and work that one out and ask everybody the questions. So yeah, that's it. Last minute prediction from Christopher. Bailey is beating Chelsea Green. Thank you for tuning in, Christopher, and being active in the comments. It's always helps me out. And like I say, particularly the fact checking. So yeah, I don't know when we'll see you because it's either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday currently. So it might be Sunday, it could be Monday, or I don't know. If YouTube listens
to you next time, I think is what you supposed to say.
Yeah, if YouTube listen to some of this, maybe never again. But we move.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. So see you next time.